look, these kids are trying to get jobs at the end of the day. Cheating is really not all that important to them. They need to understand what the hell the material is and how can I use this to get a job. So I think implementing AI into their learning curriculum is important. And that's where things like AI agents come into play, where that can be a tutor of some sort. I think we should be looking at it that way and not thinking that people are cheating.
So would you say that teaching these students how to use AI properly from a young age early on will actually help them to use it more respectfully and more professionally?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a branch within AI called ethical AI where it's literally focusing on that. There was a scenario, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, where the Game of Thrones had some spin-off product and they had an AI chatbot where people can talk to it. The problem is that this chatbot actually assisted someone in, taking their own life. It was a 17-year-old boy, and he was having a conversation with this AI chatbot, and ended up bringing the concept of him offing himself, and the AI agent actually encouraged it. So ethical AI is definitely a huge pillar that should definitely be at the forefront to prevent things like that.
JP, let me have the mic. I want to ask a question. This is the question I have for the panel, and I also want to challenge everybody to think about this as more of a direction for all of the people who are in this realm of learning to learn. The most important thing that I want to try and integrate into this conversation is how do we do what we can do in the time we have to do it with the support of the institutions. Doug Cower, is he left?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, can we bring Doug back in? Because we have the state of California, and there's a lot of resources they have. They have funding, but more importantly, they have a lot of wraparound services and resources, not only for the people who are willing to get into workforce through academics, but again, through this workforce development to career placement. I want to be able to figure out what is AI going to do to help these people not only learn how to use those tools and master those tools, but to be more integrating in the idea of learning how to be able to make sure that they just don't lean on AI or the next new technology. So Doug, is there anything that you can share with us about how AI can help us with these institutions, educational, governmental institutions, make sure it doesn't become the default for everything that we have to integrate into their development? That's a question more than a statement.
I mean, it's a fantastic question, and I'm very far from an expert in this area. Or I'll be honest, like when it comes to the state, when it comes to technology and use, we're typically a little bit behind the private sector, right? Like we let it get built out and then we have to build it internally. How I see it working in the apprenticeship landscape, though, is very, very different. I think it's can be a fantastic tool. We have to embrace that advancement in technology. And as mentioned before, we just have to ensure we try and do it in an ethical way that benefits the communities and people as a whole.
I just want to add a little something to that. So I think we're talking a lot about how we use AI, but I really think we need to be, as this brother's talking about how we develop AI, how we're on that other end. So I sit on as a limited partner on a number of investment funds. And I know that many other of my colleagues, they won't invest in a thing that's not tech enabled. Like in the world that we live in right now, we're talking about venture capital, we're talking about private equity. If that invention, that whatever else is not tech enabled, it's not even going. If you look at the stock market, it's seven AI centered stocks, NVIDIA being the number one, guiding the entire stock market, driving everything else. The other ones in the S&P 500, the other 493 aren't even doing nothing. It's that. So it's not just about us being kind of, we have the digital divide, we talk about our access to the internet. Well, in this case, the digital divide being who just uses AI as a tool and who develops AI. And it's also the winners and losers in terms of the capital gain long term. The people who are just using we're gonna do our thing and maybe make $100,000 a year, whatever else. But the developer is the one who's making true generational wealth, and I mean true generational wealth. The stock price and the run up on Nvidia is crazy, but we can't just be on the outside looking in. We have to be. So I think our school systems need to be saying not just how do we fight it, but how do we enable these people to be able to be the developers of it? And once again, otherwise it's just a two-tiered system. Those people and the others. And like I said, you can see in the stock market, you see the investments for the past 6 or 7 years, and it ain't going nowhere. So if we want to have that long-term success, we got to be in the development side. That's why I want to give it up to you, brother, in terms of teaching people about how are we going to be the ones at the forefront of developing it and moving it forward from an ethical standpoint, but also from all these different applications and utilizations.
I have a question, and this is more for Ted. How do we build a human being that's able to understand the ethics of, that's okay, it's okay. How do we build a human being that's able to understand the ethics of how to comport themselves as a mentee or a apprentice so that they can actually understand, yeah, you can learn these tools, but how do we give them a chance to become the humans that we want to invest in? Any thought process about that?
I think they have to die to self. And I think as long as students, when they're graduated from college and they're entering the workplace, and they're so focused on where they're going to go, they have a tendency to look at people that potentially help them to launch their careers or launch their vision. And it's all about them. And so I really believe that if you're truly going to learn, you're going to have to die to self. So you're going to have to take on the interest and the compassion of the employer and what their vision is. And just trust that your aspirations, your goals will be achievable. But it's really, really hard to learn when you're so focused on how does this advance me? How does this move me to where I want to go? And where I want to go, I want to get there in 3 years. I know it took you 7, but I want to be there in 3. And so most people, they don't even know how to serve. So we do all this training and we coach all these students and we get them all ready, but they can't even have a simple conversation to get an interview, to win an interview, to get a job. And employers aren't concerned about your long-term goals. They're concerned about their internal needs. So if you're consistently talking about what you want to do and where you want to be in 5 years, although they're going to ask you those questions, they're not really interested in it. They're only asking that question to see if you're going to align yourself with the goals of their department. And once you tell them in marketing, when you're interviewing for marketing, that you want to be a writer director, you just cancel your opportunity. But the reality is production is right next to the marketing department. So I'm constantly talking about people about how to listen, how to interview, how to be humble. And interviewing is not really so much about talking, although people think that they're supposed to go and they're supposed to sell themselves. If you really want to sell yourself, just shut your mouth and listen. And listen to what people are saying and what their needs are. And then your comments should be based on their needs.
Is there any way to create an AI tool that helps people how to learn how to be more human?
Yes. Literally, it's what AI agents can be, right? So I just tell people AI agents is just a fancy word for a chatbot that does things, right? And so you're just programming it to do a thing. And so in this case, you can create an AI agent that literally helps you interview better, helps you with your presentation skills, how to ask the right questions. These are some of the things that I've included in my course, but definitely preach as far as the soft skills is concerned. So building an AI agent, I built an AI tutor to help with my curriculum. So creating an AI agent to help with interviewing, that's actually next on our roadmap. So it's definitely possible.
And just a follow-up question. We're really looking to get people to work, but I know that it really starts at a much earlier age if we're going to create a pipeline, a smart pipeline of people. What age range do you think we can start to help building these humans that can use an AI tool to help augment what a educator or a parent could do to get them to be more of the person that we're going to invest in? What age range do you think?
Me, we focus on anybody 13 and up. That's what we focus on, and I chose that age specifically because the 13 to 18-year-old, they're glued to their phone, right? Subconsciously, they already know how to work with AI. They just don't know it yet. So it's my job to bring that out and help them relate the tool to their life, and that's where we create that synergy there. I believe in edutainment, education and edutainment being fused together to help reinforce whatever learning material. And for younger audiences, that seems to work well.
Wow. This is Doug Lake.
Kevin, I would add to that most people, they possess the ability to interview and to interview well. They just don't know how to translate it, when they're interviewing with someone. But they all have friends. They all hang out with their buddies. They're all dating. So I'm often relating interviewing to like dating. It's like a guy who really wants this girl, right? And he's been eyeing her for some time. And so they go to dinner and all he does is talk about himself the whole time. And when she gets home, her roommate says, well, how was your date? Well, he talked the whole time. So you have to show an interest. I think some of the tools we have today with the progression of technology with phones, it causes us to isolate ourselves as human. It causes us not to really know how to integrate. I mean, when I was coming up, I was always engaging. I was always outside playing. I was always outside running around. And so were my sisters and my brothers. And so that's a new challenge that we have with this technology, because you don't need another person. You can just go online. Hang out with yourself. Watch all the videos you want. Interact with all those people who really can't talk back to you. And so you don't really learn those interpersonal skills of how to be quiet and how to show compassion and how to listen. And so those things are always going to exist. They're not going to go away in the workplace. They're just not. And so if you want to really be successful in work, in marriage, in life, you got to have compassion for other people. You have to learn how to listen and engage and bring real issues, solving skills to those issues and solving problems.
Okay.
Yeah, AI, to me, and to what we're trying to teach our students, we're using it as a hammer. You use it as a tool. It's not to take over anything of that nature. It's just used as a tool. And so if you're going to have take the AI into the classrooms and things of that nature, it has to be taught as a tool, not as a take over anything else. So for our students, for example, if a student wants to be a doctor and things of that nature, we have to teach them what it means to be a doctor from all sides. AI is just a tool to get them to understand, because our students have diagnoses and issues, so they have to not only overcome the normal things that they have to overcome, they also have to overcome their diagnosis of how they incorporate it, how to use it. So AI, and I'm glad I met this gentleman because we will be talking a lot, how to use AI as a tool to teach them those skills that they need, the social skills, aspects, and things of that nature, but not to have it overwhelm. Now, here's the catcher, though. The idea is to use AI as a tool along with the professors, along with the other resource people, so that human factor, that factor that they need to understand and utilize, they'll know how to do those things, because you can't just use AI for everything and expect them to still be able to go to a job interview and pass the job interview, or expect them to learn the things that they need to know. They need that human side. For our students that are learning disabilities, they don't have that. That's why you see students, everybody in this room has got to know at least one or two students or parents who have special needs students. When they sit at the table and you think they're playing together, but they're parallel playing. They're playing by themselves. So that same analogy can work for those students who are having trouble and understanding that, it's not all about me, it's about you as well. So AI, to me, again, as I said, it needs to be used just as a tool and not as the whole thing. You still need that human side. You still need those teachers and instructors and things of that nature to teach you that side, that social skills side.
I so agree. Thank you for your input on how we can use AI as a tool. But I have a question regarding AI development, because you mentioned something about how do we create the next generation of AI developers. So I'm curious, where would someone go? What education could they start with? yes, anybody can answer this question.
I got you. So you can come to me. But I've been an experienced designer for going on 13 years now. I went to school for graphic design, which I just tell people is really about making pretty images. That's really what it is. I taught myself everything else that I know. User experience, conversation design, anything with AI related. So books, YouTube, and of course come to me. But I will give everybody the tool that we teach our students how to create AI agents. It's called Voice Flow, all one word, Voice Flow. It's, to me, I think, the best AI agent builder on the market. One of the reasons why I think it's the best, because they have the best freemium model, meaning with a free account, they allow you to build 2 agents without a feature lock at all. So I tell people to go straight there and just practice. The UI is great. The UX is great. It is one of the best AI bot builders out there. So that, I think, is a great place to start. Their YouTube channel is excellent. Start there if you don't come to me.
Voice Flow, cool. Do you have a mentor that you studied after or looked up after, or any favorite book on how you study this?
Yeah. So no, I didn't have a mentor. Out of my friend group, I'm the only one that does what I do. And I'm the oldest, so I'm used to being on my own and learning things and experimenting things and screwing up. So no, I did not have a mentor. A book that I recommend all of my clients, if you're a client with me for our table, it's a book called Applied Artificial Intelligence. It's a handbook for business leaders, right on Amazon. I always point my clients there so that way I don't talk over their head when I'm interacting with them, but they also get a really good foundation of what AI is, what it isn't, and what it can and can't do. So that's a book that I recommend.
And I say thank you for that, because even for us, I'm in a whole different generation. So I can talk about it from a macro as an investor, as that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to on the boots, on the ground, people say things and I just go like this, because I really don't understand. I'm a foreigner. You guys are digital natives in this. So the ability for you to give even me the ability to understand, because I'm just looking at it going, okay, it's ChatGPT, you know what I mean? Then I'm going, okay, but I can see the big picture. But the development part, that's way beyond me, and I'm at an age that it's not gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. But give me something to give me a roadmap to understand where it's going.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
And it was interesting in the last panel, you all asked a question about what roles could people give, and I just want to piggyback a little bit. So conversational AI designer is a role. It's basically just a translated UX designer into an AI designer, building chatbots. Prompt engineer. That's another one. Prompt engineering is a skill, but they have prompt engineer as a role.
Wait, can you define what a prompt engineer is? Is like someone who just prompts the chat GPT?
Literally.
Really?
Literally.
Because I
See,
think it's a skill too.
So if you talk to me a little bit more, I hate jargon in this industry. I talk to you like we're on the street. Prompt engineering is literally, how do you ask the machine the question? That's it. That's all it is. There's a formula to get the best result out of ChatGPT, Claude, whatever it is. That's prompt engineering.
Okay, and guys, I have a couple of people I want to bring, a couple of things I want to bring into the flow of this conversation. There's a young man that's on the screen here. Ed Bernard, can you say hello and introduce yourself as to how you're going to help Dakar and our mentees get to a stage of challenge and project-based learning in terms of short stories to long stories to advertisement?
Great. Hey, hello everyone. This has really been inspirational. First off, you guys really put together a great couple of panels, and hopefully there's some students that are really getting picking all this gold off the ground that everyone's been dropping. So, and then thanks for inviting me. Kevin and team. My name's Ed Bernard, and I'm an executive producer in corporate communications. I work for a company called CXR, short for Code Switcher. And what we mostly do is we do a lot of strategic, creative strategy for events, live events. We also do a lot of other communications like video and the like, but we mostly focus on corporate events for blue chip companies. And I think I've known Kevin for, I don't know, a few years now, 2-3 years. And the idea is that we would work together in bringing students and apprentices into the communications world. It's interesting because a lot, they see events or they attend events, but typically most people, and especially students, don't know that they can have careers in that space. So, hopefully in the future we can get a few people over to work with us in our company, and they can see that there are a lot of opportunities on that side. It's interesting, you're talking about AI, and we've been using, basically, I think someone just mentioned that they see AI as a tool. What we do when we're creating experiences, because that's what we do from the minute you get an invitation to an event, you sign up, and then you attend and you're leaving, we basically ideate around the total experience, the digital experience, the experience traveling at the event, after the day of the event, the parties, whatever. And we basically incorporated mostly ChatGPT, Midjourney. We've incorporated those as team members. They basically are creative partners for us. And so we basically assign them portions of the workload, what we need to get done. And most of it is writing, but it's also imagery and the like. And it's been amazing. It's really been amazing. But we do agree with what one of the gentlemen just said, is that it's not really replacing any of our team members. It's supplemental. It's adding to the team. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And I just may add the second part of this is that Ed is helping us with real, not just case studies, but real clients. We're now in the conversation with full service advertising agencies who have multiple brands. And because we're storytellers, these brands want our stories. So we're now in the position to talk to them about becoming a teammate to supplement what they do for their clients. And what I want to ask you guys about is how do you think it's going to be possible to bring the business of what we do to these students so they understand the economics that are involved? So they're not just looking at this as an opportunity for them to make a prevailing wage, but how to look at wealth and all the things that happen inside of all these machines that make not only brands but just are really market makers. Anybody have any ideas on how we start to help build these human beings to be thinkers and doers in that business space?
Well, first off, everybody needs to understand that your ideas have value, monetary value. And once you begin to understand that, it changes the whole dynamic. That every thought that you have is intellectual property, and you have a right to it. And someone else, if you don't protect that right, can take it, do whatever else with it, and begin to see themselves as their own little corporation. So I have this thing, just like you buy and sell your services in the market, right? I am this agent, and I have the ability to put myself out there, but the ability for them to be able to come back to the square one and just say, I'm going to still keep working. I don't care what this thing goes up, I got to keep working at it. No matter what, I got to keep working at it. I got to keep working every day. I got to keep working at it because this thing does not change. I just keep going back to, I know it's a hard lesson, but there's no substitute for hard work. There's no substitute for people skills. You can do everything in the world that you want to do, AI and all stuff, but you still have to be able to attach it to some people. One of the companies I advised, they were doing a whole lot of work and everything, and they just kept wondering why their social media is not working. And I said, let me look at your whole mix of advertising. It was all social media. It's a local-based business. And it's like, oh, we got this thing and we're viral. We got 2 million clicks. That don't do you any good. 2 million clicks, you right here in the neighborhood. Somebody just needs to come here. There's 2 million clicks to do anything for you. How do you now And I told them, just start going out here and passing out your cards in this little neighborhood. Now they start getting all this activity. They said that people say, I saw you at the Walmart and I saw you online. Now I want to go, because they start seeing some connection there, because the ability to just thinking that if I just put it here and boost it or whatever else, that's going to make that end. It's not. It goes back to you are a business. So every little piece of you has something that can be farmed out. Even your labor, as I said, you got to think to yourself, you're working every day. I know some young people tell me, I'm just going to be an influencer, Dr. Walker. I go, okay. All right, so I say this. I say, okay, give yourself 1 year, 12 months. I say, go as hard as you can, as hard as you want to as an influencer, okay? I say, but first off, let's figure out a wage for you. I say $20 an hour. And now every day, figure out how many of those things you put into this. And at the end of the year, if the numbers don't match, if the money that you put in doesn't match, then I guess it's time for you to get up and stop trying to be an influencer. What does it mean though? But now maybe the skills you learn can be used to help somebody else because you learned all these platforms and all these other things. So that's where the business is, not you being the person who's in the front. The business was over the course of the year, you learned all these other things that someone else needed because you went down that road. But you had to give yourself a stop, because if not, you're going to be in my basement for the next 35 years trying to be in the show. It was like my generation, all people just got a rap studio and they 60. You know what I mean? In their basement. You don't want to be that person. So just to not have to go down that feudalness of why isn't it working out? How somebody else put it in and they're making this money online.
Right. And I was going to add, but for the sake of time, I wanted to see, let's finish up with this thought process, but I want to give the mic to some people in the audience that may have some questions, and I want to have them introduce themselves because we don't have enough seats here for everybody to be able to get their piece. But go ahead, Everett.
To piggyback off of that, having a hustler's mindset it's everything. You are a business, literally, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole tying into your birth certificate and everything, but you literally are a corporation.
Is
right?
that true? That's another topic.
I can school you on some things, but what's interesting though, when I think about Gen Z, I recently saw an article. I think it was like 45 to 50% of Gen Z, their main focus is work-life balance. And I can tell you, if you're trying to get it to whatever industry you're in, there's no such thing as work-life balance. There's no such thing. So that is, I know it's hard to hear, but it's the truth. Like, there is no work-life balance coming in. You got to put in a good 10 years easy of grinding. So helping them understand that by at least making the work cool or not feel like work. And so that's where, again, relating the tool set, the job, to their life. And so what we do is we introduce projects. We have them come up with projects based off of problems in their lifetime. And so we create a digital solution to help with that.
I just want to, I know we're getting ready to go, but I think the infrastructure is going to be important to answer your question directly. How do we get them? It's one thing to get the students there, but the infrastructure has to be in place within the business and organization in order to get your ROI back in droves. If the infrastructure is not sound, it's not going to work. You can bring the students in, but if the infrastructure is not there, you're just wasting you're not going to get a good return on your investment. So that's extremely important. And you have to, once you've got these students there, you have to know what kind of students you have. I know that people want to say, well, look, you have to work hard, you can make it work and make anything work. There's no sense in you having 30 students there and only 15 of them are going to make it through your program because you didn't have the infrastructure there to even weed out the right people in the first place. So to me, that's important.
Okay, great. Ted, anything before we start asking questions to the audience?
One of the questions in the last panel was asked in regards to what do students need most? And to echo what you're saying, they need access. They need access, and it's our generation that's responsible for creating access for that younger generation. I mean, we really have to be willing to help the next generation. So it's access.
Okay, great. So JP, can you pass the mic and have some other people in the audience introduce themselves?
Questions?
Introduce yourself. Who stand up? Yeah, stand up and introduce yourself. Don't be shy.
My name is Bobby. I am one of the program directors of an organization called Fathers and Mothers Who Care in the South Los Angeles area. How about now?
Okay, there you go.
My name is Bobby. I'm one of the program managers for an organization called Fathers and Mothers Who Care in the South Los Angeles area. What I want to ask is the state, the apprentice still?
No, he had to leave.
Yeah, the lead. Okay. Well, I wanted to know from the state level what they're offering in terms of AI and this thing that we're talking about, because it's valuable for the future.
I can answer that. Bring me the mic.
Yep.
We were forward thinking enough to be able to create an apprenticeship program that's registered with the Department of Labor and the Division of Apprenticeship Standards that works with the Department of Rehabilitation for people who have invisible disabilities. But we were really blessed to be able to create a pre-apprenticeship program from the state of California. It's called the California Opportunity Youth Act. And there's funding for people who are interested in making sure that they can start at the earliest possible age, which is essentially 16 for the state of California, to get young people into the world of work. So we have a pre-apprenticeship program that's called Multicore, that is integrating AI, machine learning, business, with an emphasis on the creative tech economy. And I was hoping that Doug could tell us a little bit more about pre-apprenticeship, but that's a very new space for people to start understanding how to build the smart pipeline. So I'd be more than happy to tell anybody about how we can partner with our pre-apprenticeship programs and getting into all of these school districts, especially the public schools who are Title I schools, who need to have exposure to AI tools, personal growth and development, and all the things that are going to help them level the playing field for competition. So we're working with Charlotte, who was here earlier from LAUSD, as well as Inglewood, Compton, and those are the school districts that we have targeted for making sure that we start to look at building the pipeline at 16. So anybody else? Walter, you want to introduce yourself? Take the mic. Get up and let's let us see you. You cool, bro. Let's just get up.
So low, right?
Yeah, my name is Walter Reese. I'm an engineer and I'm an entrepreneur also. I own my own company. I met Kevin because I have a couple of patents, about 9. My company is developing one of those projects, and the software that we're using called CAPI, Kiko AI-assisted personal program intelligence, falls in line with a lot of things I've been hearing. Our developers are going to be incorporating AI into our software performance, which will help the product sort of perform as expected in the commercial world. But from what I'm hearing, again, there's an opportunity. I mean, everybody's talking about AI, and that is here to stay. So there's an opportunity in business, so to speak, where young people do need to get with the program. I see a future where if you are not competent in that field, you will be left behind. So this seminar, this program we're having here is extremely important as a tool to reach out to young people who may think that this can be postponed or this has nothing to do with them. This is a very important part of the future that is here today and that will be developing in the future. So I do encourage young people and even older people to jump on board, because this is the great equalizer. If you do understand that technology, it puts you so far ahead.
Great.
So that's really my thoughts on the
Yeah.
subject.
Can somebody pass me, Mike? I want to introduce some of the things to me, because I want to introduce how we met him and what we do to plan on bringing. So Walter was introduced to me as a person who was looking for an initial round of funding. And Carmen and I are going to be working with him to try and introduce his patents or products. And Walter's come as a software developer and engineer from Amazon. And so we plan on looking at him as not just as a case study, but as a real human being that's come to us to try to share the struggle to success and getting to where he's getting, but needing to be introduced to that first round of funding that's going to get his product to the marketplace. And so my question to anybody is, how does someone who's an inventor or someone who wants to be an inventor, how would you help them start to frame their next step to getting themselves not only protected, but ready to meet people who could be investors? So anybody want to handle that question?
Well, I think I probably unless somebody wants to take the question. It's a long road, and it's almost a labor of passion. But you have to walk a path to determine whether what you're inventing is relevant or irrelevant. And if it is relevant, what need does it fill, and what solutions, what problems does it solve? Once you are able to determine that, you need to get your work protected. And that is an area where it sometimes can get expensive. You need to find a good patent attorney, which is literally 60% of the ball game, because not all attorneys are the same. You get a good patent attorney, they will secure your product after doing a global search to make sure that your invention is unique. And then after that, you will go through a process which will, particularly if it's expedited, it will take anywhere from 6 to 10 months for your project to be reviewed. And then after that, if things go well, you will get a letter saying that you will be offered a patent for your product. Now, at that point, you will then try to do a prototype or proof of concept. Because to go to corporate America with a piece of paper that says you have a patent doesn't mean anything. It has to be translated to a working prototype to show them that this prototype does work, and you also have paperwork to back you up that you will not have any infringement on this project for the next 12 years. So, like I said, it is a long path. However, imagine having a patent on a product that you have a proof of concept on and corporate America wants. You have literally written your own ticket, but you really have to walk the walk, and it's a long journey. My product is called Kiko, and it's a global data management system that I came up with. I have 3 patents specifically on that product, and I did not start talking about it till early this year when all my paperwork was in place. My first patent came in 2019, my second one came in 2022, and my third one came towards the end of 2023. So it's been a very long journey and very expensive. But some of you young people out there that have some great ideas, yeah, you can monetize it, but do it the right way. And also find somebody to talk to about it so you're protected.
Okay, Shane.
I wanted to address the question as well. Shane Hyman here on behalf of that Car Foundation. Also, my tech startup is Next Level Global Technologies, Inc. Leveraging the Jobs Act legislation to create a pathway from startup to the stock market. And to address this question specifically, Walter, you did an amazing job. I love everything that you offered here to the group. And if I would just add to that, I'm reminded of what I was taught by my instructor and Black Owned Business Accelerator program. And he taught us, he said, investors don't invest in ideas, they invest in businesses, okay? He said, so you need to structure your business. You need to make sure that it's understandable what the value is inside of your business. You gotta get your financial statements together, your balance sheet. You gotta have your projections. If you can identify what your value is and what the need is in the market, and that you have a viable plan to build and roll out, even if it's in phases, okay? MVP, MVS, minimum viable product, and minimum viable steps, so that way you can demonstrate the ability to start small and grow tall, so to speak. But again, investors also invest in people, so being a likable person and demonstrating that you're passionate and you're purpose driven definitely makes a difference. But at the end of the day, it's my personal opinion that most businessmen and women are a little shrewd, and it's about the bottom line. And I mean, that's understandable. If they just threw all their money every which way, there would be nothing left to offer opportunities to startups like myself, like Walter, like everybody else in the room, who've done the work, who've done the research and development, who've structured things, and now they just need that it's a biblical reference, but to have the breath of life, blown into what has been modeled. So just to summarize, investors don't invest in ideas, they invest in businesses, and we have to be able to demonstrate how we are or intend to become a profitable business.
Okay, and Ms. B. Stewart, can you pass the mic to her? Can you tell us what brought you here today? Yeah, come on up for a second.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm B. Stewart. I am a California native. In particular, I'm an interdisciplinary artist, so that means I do large-scale paintings, but I also work in other formats. I would say, specifically, my practice focuses on interrogating origin stories, specifically of those with peripheral experiences of different social archetypes. So, to make that a little bit less artsy, it's just people who come from inner cities who have a different experience, who specifically experience those barriers of interest. And I believe we're all here because we want to create access, right? And there's been a myriad of different discussions along generations of what that looks like. And now that we do have the tool of AI, it can actually prompt us into those realities we want to see exist. So outside of my practice, as far as doing figurative works, I do experiential events. One of the events I've done, I would say one of my most proud ones I've done is called Girl Women. It's from back in 2018. We had Amanda Gorman out, and it was just an experiential event where we worked with 14-year-olds to 22-year-olds who, it was basically a mentorship meetup. Basically, we allowed them to hear from a panel, but take it a little bit further and let them have an experience where they talk to people in the industries they're interested in. For me, I was in a lot of different inner cities, to where at 14, I was ready for a mentor, but I didn't have access to one. The people around me were creative, but they were too focused on securing food and shelter. And so I'm so excited to be a part of these things where I am now today. I have a newsletter that I've started, which I would love to learn more from you, how to incorporate AI. Specifically, we focus on life-work balance, because as you said, work balance doesn't exist. So let's just shift that to 180, because if we focus on what our life work is, we can create some type of balance as we're in it, in the grind of it. But yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm a full LA girl, full Cali girl, and I've been just very interested in learning what's coming to our community so I can use my storytelling skills to get that out into the world.
Okay, step in,
Thank you
step
for
in.
having me.
Okay, next, Leela.
I'm on the spot, everybody. How you doing?